Today, good afternoon. Today, we create a monopoly. Monopoly means characteristics of monopoly, price and output determination under monopoly, perfect competitions and monopoly. In this chapter, monopoly powers, social cost of monopoly, power and competitions combinations exist. As I mentioned earlier, there are four basic type of market structure: perfect competitions, monopolistic competitions, holography, and monopoly. A monopoly is a market structure in which a struggle supplier produce and sells a given product to the whole market. If there is a single seller in a certain industry and there are no close substitutes for the product, then the market structure is that of a pure monopoly. Sometimes there are many sellers in an industry and or this exit many close distributors for the goods beginning produce, but never the health companies return some market power. This is the term monopolist competitions. whereas by oligopoly, the company interact strategy. In this unit, we will study monopoly in details. In this chapter, main first objective is to understand the characteristics of the market under monopoly. Second objective to know the price and output determinations of monopoly firm in the short run as well as long run. And third objective is to understand the difference between perfect competitions and monopoly. The monopoly word comes from two Greek words, monos meaning along or single, and poly which means to sell. A monopoly is a unique situation where a particular individual or enterprise is the only superior of that commodity. Monopolies are thus characterized by a lack of economics competitions to produce the good or service and a lack of variable substance goods. A monopoly, a single seller and a business entry has a significant market power to change high price. Market power is the ability to increase the product price about marginal cost without losing our consumers. Although monopolies may be a big business, size is not a distinctive characteristics of monopoly. A small business may also have the power to raise price in a market. Monopolies is typical maximum their profit to buy producing less output and selling them at higher prices compared to perfect competitions. Monopolies can be established by a government from naturally or formed by integrations. There are four basic reasons to monopoly. Firstly, it may exist due to control of the entire supply of the raw materials required to produce the product. For distance signal, owner of diamond mines in a country will be a monopolist. Secondly, monopoly may emerge from the pattern of corporate that excludes other from producing the same product or using the particular process for the product. A government granted monopoly or legal monopoly is the third source of the monopoly, which is sentenced by the state to provide incentives to invest in risk venture or those with long gestation period and or very high level of investment. The government may also reserve the venture for itself, thus forming a government monopoly. Okay. A monopoly, on the other hand, is a market with only one buyer of a product or service. Therefore, the market power is on the demand side and not the supply side, as in the case of monopoly. Characteristics of monopoly. First characteristics is a single seller. A monopolist products to entire or to single handle to carry to the demand. Hence, there is a no distinctions between firm and industry, and the whole industry is controlled by a single seller. Second is a no substitute. The product sold in the market is unique and no close substitute for the product is available. Hence, firms are free from direct competitions. Price market, there is no threat of other competitors and monopolists can set the price or the quality of the product to be sold. Fourth, high barriers to entry. Other sellers are unable to enter the market of the monopolies due to high barriers to entry. Okay, first, monopolies drive their market power from barriers to entry conditions that third of guarantee yet a likely competitor's ability to compete in a monopolist market. Barriers to entry can be broadly categorized into three types: economics, legal, and deliberate. We will elaborate on these barriers now. First, economics barriers. The include economics of scale, high capital requirements, cost advantage, and technology superiority. First, economics of seller. Second, capital requirements. Third, technology superiority. No substance goods and control of natural resource. Legal barriers can be provided opportunity to monopolies the market of a good or service. Intellectual property rights, including parents and corporates, give a monopolies executive control of the productions and selling of certain goods properly rights may give a company executive control of the materials necessary to produce a good. Second, the deliberate actions. A company getting to create monopoly in a market may engage in various types of deliberate actions to exclude competitors or eliminate competitions. Such actions include conclusion, lobby, general authorities, and force. In addition to barriers to entry and competitions, barriers to exit may be a source of market power. Barriers to exit are market conditions that make it different to expensive for a company to aid its involvement with a market. The liquidations cost are primary barriers and exiting. Price and output determination under monopoly. First is short run. Short run means a monopolist can set the price of the product and he is therefore known as a price market maker. They face a negatively slow market demand curve as it is the sole seller of the product for which there is no close substitute. The negatively sloped demand curve means that a monopolist can sell more product only by lowers in price. Therefore, the marginal US curve of the monopolist use below the demand curve is the formula Q upon A minus P oblique B फॉर्म्युला दिल्यात त्याच्यानंतर टेबल दिल्यात टोटल रिन्यू किती मार्जिनल रिन्यू किती ॲव्हरेज त्या ठिकाणी कसं येतं हे त्यात सांगितलेलं आहे लॉंग रन्स मीन्स as in the case of perfect competitions the optimum level of output is at the point at which mr equal mms LMC. Since the entry is blocked or not possible in case of monopoly, it is not necessary that the firm will produce at the lowest of its flat. In the long run, all factors of productions are available. Hence, the monopolist can construct an optimal scale of plant to produce the best level of output. The quality will be higher and price will be lower than in the case of short run. However, unlike firm in a perfect competitions, a monopolist may earn superior normal profit in the long run, and the same can be depicted using figure 8.1. Perfect competitions monopoly and perfect competitions are two extreme market forms. In real world, it is very hard to find examples of perfect competitions and perfect monopoly. Properly, a case of some great feed market may be close to perfect competitions and railways. On Note that road and air transports are a close substance in that case. It really most of the industry tend to fit between these two extreme form of market structure. Thus, an important questions arise as to why we need to study this case. One must understand that these two models provide managers and policymakers a benchmark against which to measure the industry. For instance, a manager may strive to move towards monopoly to generate normal profit, whereas the policy market would like to ensure more competitions in any industry. Therefore, it is a very important to understand the working of these two extreme cases A comparative analysis that follows this will further enhance our outstand understanding. Firstly, let us see some similarities among these two. First of all, their cost functions are same. Both monopolies and perfectly competition company minimize cost and the maximum profile. And second is their short-term decisions are the same. Finally, both are assumed to have perfectly competition inputs market. Labor and other inputs are available in competition market. However, most importantly, there are major differences that are as assumed. First is marginal revenue and price. In a perfectly competition market, price equal marginal cost. In a monopolist market, however, price is set above marginal cost. Second, product differential. Third, number of competitors. Perfectly competitive markets are populated by infinite numbers of buyers and sellers. Monopoly involves a single seller and many buyers. Barriers to entry. Third, elastics of demand. Fourth, exists profit maximums, profit maximizations, profit margins, quality, price, and profit. With monopolists often control of formally perfect competitors industry, the monopolist would increase price, reduce productions, and realize positive economics profit. Supply curve and next, the most significant decisions between perfectly competitive firms and monopoly in that the monopoly has a downward sloping demand curve rather than the preserved perfectly elastic curve of a firm in a comparative industry. Practically all the various mentioned above relate to this fact. If there is a downward sloping demand curve, then by necessity there is a justice marginal curve. Okay, next, monopoly powers. Monopoly power is the ability to increase the product price above marginal cost without losing all consumer, or the ability to affect the terms and conditions of exchange so that the price of a product is set by a single company. A firm in perfectly competitive industry has zero market power when it comes to setting price, as all firms in such an industry are price takers. The price is set by the indicators of the demand and supply at the market or origin level. Individual companies simply take the price determined by the market and produce that quality of output that maximums that companies provide under perfect competitions. In order quality, quality in order to qualify the monopoly power of a firm, economics use Lerner index, the monopoly power given by Lerner in 1934. It is the difference between price P and marginal cost MC divided by price. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, in real but no industry may be a case of perfect monopoly by may exist between the two extremes of perfect competitions and monopoly power. In such case, each firms may enjoy some degree of monopoly that can be qualified by using the index, of monopoly power of a single firms in such industry depend upon number of other firms. Second, nature of interactions among the existing firms. And third, the elastics of demands. A large numbers of firms in the industry will reduce the capacity of a single firms to change price higher than its MC, thereby reducing its monopoly power. Okay, social cost of monopoly and competitions commissions. The capacity of a monopolist to charge price higher than its MC compose heavy cost on the society. Firstly, we have seen that the price charged by monopolies is higher with lesser output being produced. Figure 8.2. Thus, a consumer supplies and their welfare is reduced with high price and less output being available in the market. Clearly, this happens as the monopolies learn supply normal profit, which implies that there is a restrictions of welfare from many consumers to a single producer. In this chapter, main point consider that the firms may be involved in activities that may be socially undescribable, describable, and those may lead to certain uh, creations of monopoly and or abuse of such monopoly power. There is a need for interventions by the government to regulate such activities. This one of the basic reasons behind creations of antitrust authorities in any economic. In Indian context, we have competitions commissions of India that attempts to regulate the activity of such firms that may be execute monopoly power and consumer may be suffering due to such activities. In this main point is monopoly is one of the extreme market structures where there is a single seller in a market. This case, there is a no distinctions between firm and industry as in the case
हॅलो.
of perfectly competitive firm.
नाही
Monopoly
नाही नको.
also decides its best level about at
हम्म, बर. हम्म, हम्म.
a monopolist enjoy monopoly power for its product. The production real monopoly power, I mean, it depend upon variety of factors and may vary for different industry. There is a no doubt that a perfectly competitive industry is better for a consumer instead of a monopoly. Thus, the government also makes efforts to ensure that competitions is mentioned in various interests and no single producer is able to exploit the consumer. In this chapter, main points is monopoly means a situation where a particular individual or enterprise is the only superior of a product. Second, monopoles a market with only one buyer of a product. Barriers to entry, condition that prevent or generally impede unlikely competitors' ability to enter in a market. Monopoly power, the ability of a producer to increase the product price above its marginal cost. Learner index of monopoly power. It is calculated as the difference between price and marginal cost divided by price to qualify the monopoly power of a firm. And rent scheme means rent seeking efforts made by our products include among Spain to acquire and maintain monopoly positions in the industry. In this chapter, main question is what are the characteristics of monopoly? Second, how is monopoly different from perfect competitions? And do you think to justify the government interview in industry to ensure that they remain competitive, justify your understand? And next question, monopoly, what is the social cost imposed if in a particular industry that is a single seller? In this economics manager, this ninth chapter is monopolies competitions. एक चॅप्टर मोनोपॉलीस हे पाहिलं गेलं. आता युनिट म्हणजे मोनोपॉलिस्ट अँड कॉम्पिटिशन्स हे आपण पाहणार आहे. In characteristics of monopolist competitions, equilibrium under monopolist competitions. Uh, in this chapter, in the last 2 units, we study two benchmark market structure, namely perfect competitions and monopoly. As I mentioned earlier, in real world, most of the industry may exist with a market structure in between these two extreme forms. One such structure is a monopolist competition, which are type of imperfect competitions. The word monopolist competitions is an oxymoron, which means putting together words that are conducted in case of monopolies competitions. Many firms exit and entry is no restricted for a new firms. Thus, it is close to perfect competitions and the use of the word competitions. However, each firm has different product that gives such firms a monopoly over the product, and accordingly the use of word monopolist. We will have more discuss on different product later in the text. The theory of monopolies competitions as propounded by Ycmou in his supplement book, Theory of Monopolies Competitions, example of monopoly competitions include industry for products like shops, toothpaste, detergents, packaged tea, etc. In this unit is organized as follows. Section 9.2 discuss characteristics of monopolies competitions. Pneumatic system under monopolies competitions include both short run and long runs. Provides the summary of the unit of the section begin to together the key terms used in the unit. First, in this chapter, main objective. First objective to understand the structure of market and monopolies competitions. Second, to understand different products and non-price competitions. And third, to note the price and output determinations of monopolies in the short run and long run. Characteristics of the monopolist competition. First characteristic is a monopolist competition. There are many product producer and many consumers in the market, and no firm has total control over the market price. Second, consumer perceive that there are non-price difference among the competitors' products. Third, there are a few barriers to entry and exit, and fourth, producers have a degree of control over price. They are price makers. And fifth, the center feature of monopolist competitions is the producer differently. Product differentiations means that sale in case of monopolies competitions are differentiation from one another such that though these products may satisfy similar want of consumer, yet these are not perfect solutions of each other. Consider for instance market for toothpaste where one may find Colgate, clothes, President and many such brands. Note that each product is used for oral hygiene, but how each is different from another. Different products are similar but not identical. However, satisfies the same needs as these products satisfy the same need of consumer. There is a competitions, but each firm's relations is produced from other firms. There is monopoly. For instance, things about the comparison of Colgate, which says my toothpaste mein namak hai, my toothpaste has salt. The salt becomes the different aspects of the product, creating monopoly for Colgate in the product type space. You can think of many such example as companies attempts to differentiate their product from of another forms, there are four main types of definition. First one, physical production definitions. Where firms use the size, design, color, shape, performance, and features to make their products different. For example, consumer electronics can easily be physically differential. Next, market the differentiation means where firms try to differentiate their products by this package and other promotional techniques. For example, breakfast sales can easily by definition of packaging. Third, human capacity definition, where the firms create difference though the skill of its employees, the level of training received, issue informs, and so on. It has relevance in service industry considered, for instance, retail shopping industry, where in each store the special attention is received by consumer from the store attendance can be a definition factors. And fourth, difference through distributions, including distributions for mail order or the internet shopping such as Amazon.com, which differently itself from traditional bookstores by selling online. Non-price competitions advertise the selling expenditure eventually found under monopolies. The competitions may executive efforts to difference their products. From another, it may lead to non-price competition among the firms where instead of competitions with each other in terms of price, firms may involve in executive advertising and selling first to establish the distinctive factors of the product in the minds of the consumer. Equilibrium under monopolist competitions means under the monopolist competitions we cannot derive the market demand curve and market supply curve of the production as in the case of perfect competitions. Since each comes in the market sells a definition of product, we do not have a single equilibrium price, rather we would have a cluster of price. Unlike in perfectly competitive firms, monopolist firms can decide the characteristics of their product and the selling price in the short run. Supernormal profits are possible, but in the long run, new firms are added into the industry because of low barriers to entry, good knowledge, and an opportunity to differentiate. Next point, the monopolies competition in the short run. As the pharmacist monopolies competition produces different product, the demand curve decrease is downward sloping, but highly price elastic. It is highly elastic as the many other substitutes of the product are available in the market. The conditions for averaging at profit management, output and concomitantly the price for each product of a firm is similar to monopoly. Okay, monopolies competitions in the long run. Monopolies competitions long term in long new firms may be added to market conditions that existing firms are enjoy supernormal profit as a new firms and the market demand for the existing firm's products becomes more elastic and the demand curve shifts to the left driving down price. Equally, if all superior normal profits are entered away, new entrants continue until only normal forms is available. At this point, firms have reached their long run equilibrium. These conditions is shown in this figure long The long-run characteristics of a monopolist competitive market are almost the same as a perfectly competitive market. However, difference between these two are that monopolies competitions produce heterogeneous products and invest in non-price competition which is based on subtle product differentiation. In this chapter, main point is the monopolies competitions industry has characteristics both the perfect competitions and monopoly. A key asset in product differentiations and executive efforts made by firms to differentiate their product from other firms to retain their monopoly positions over the product. A firm, a firm makes profit in the short run will nonetheless only break even in the long run because demand will decrease and average total cost will increase. This means in the long run, a monopolistically competition firms will make zero economics profit. In this small chapter, main points keep terms, monopolies competitions. Monopoly competitions is a market structure where many firms exist and is non-restrictive for a new firms. However, each product that gives such a firm monopoly over the product and definition product productions that may satisfy similar want of a consumer but are not perfect substitutes of each other. Third, non-price competitions means competitions among the firms where instead of competing with each other in terms of price, firms known in executive advertising and selling cost of distinguishes this product from other firms' product. Okay. In this chapter, my question is what are the characteristics of monopolies compared to industry? Second, what is the source of monopoly for a firm in a monopolies compared to industry? Give example of the shampoo industry. Explain using diagram how a firms that in economy profit in short term in monopolies compared to industry will earn only normal profit in a long. Okay. In this subject 10 topics oligopoly. Oligopoly means so what is mean by oligopoly? Oligopoly is models, characteristics. Continue with the our discuss on market structure. Now move on to oligopoly. The word oligopoly has big roots in words. Oligos meaning few and poly implying sellers. If you closely observe industry like communication, aviation, and automobile, you will find very few players in these industries. For instance, in telecommunication in India, we have firms like Airtel, Vodafone, and BSNL, with a few other small players, but with a large number of buyers. With small numbers of firms, the key features of such a structure and the independence among the firms from price and output decisions and also the interactions among these firms. A small group of firms can behave either extremely competitive or come together to will have like a monopoly. Just not the simple but statistics interactions among the firms are the interest of study for many economists in case of monopoly. In this unit, we will study the oligopoly models to understand price and output determination by firms under specific definitions of those models. This unit is organized as follows section. In this main objective, first one, to understand the structure of market oligopoly. Second, understand the model of oligopoly. And third, understand market conditions and measures used to qualify it. Oligopoly and its characteristics. Oligopoly is one of the market structure prevalent in most of manufacturing sector, including India, in terms of few sellers. There are only two sellers. It is called as duopoly. If the product in the market is harmonious, we have fewer oligopoly. For example, aluminum, steel, etc. And if the producers sell differently products, we have different opinion. Probably, for example, table, smartphone, for example, uh, tablets and phones and smartphones, etc. I mentioned that earlier since there are only few sellers in the market, the actions of our firms affects the actions of its competitors. In case the telecom industry can Airtel introduce traffic reductions to their consumer idea, cellular or Eurofed may immediately follow the traffic police. Next, price competition, various non-price competition. The firms under oligopoly may compete with each other in form of either price or non-price competition. Price competitions refer to conduct registration of a firm's with response to their competitor would be in terms of price. For instance, when Maruti introduced a price cut in the sale of certain model and Tata Motors also responds in the same manner by reducing the price of certain model. Okay, new products the seller sells at a lower price than exiting one to establish itself in the market. Second, exiting producers or seller wants to raise value, enlarging sales by reducing the price. And third, there are surplus stocks and limited storing capacity with firms. Clumsy or non-clumsy oligopoly means an important factor into the market structure is the degree of cooperation among the firms. When firms cooperate completely, they engage in venture. These terms denotes a situation in which two or more firms jointly set their price of outputs divided the market among them or market their decisions jointly. Source of the oligopoly in entire an industry are often referred as barriers to entry. The source of oligopoly difference encountered in entire industry are often referred to as barriers to entry. We had discussed on barriers to entry in the unit covering monopoly. These barriers also play a key role in monopoly by discussing the number of sellers in an industry. Thus, we release the source of oligopoly or as follows. First one, economics of seller. Second, free but limited entry. Third, established farms. Fourth, government policy. Fifth, control over input. Six, product diffusion. Seven, parent. Oligopoly models means in case of oligopoly, there is no general theory of oligopoly as it is difficult to ascribe a single type of interactions among the firms. Thus, number of models of various degree of realizing have over a period of time with different behavioral assumptions regarding the interactions among firms. Some of these models have become standard and are extendable. The model, the French economics Auguste Spin Cournot invokes the concept of oligopoly model in 1838, highlighting the interdependence of existing firms in such an industry. For simplicity, the model assumes that there are only two firms sell harmonious product, and firms make decisions about the quality of output to be produced. The key feature of the model is that each firm tries to maximum its profit by assuming that other duopolist holds its output constant at the existing level. The King demand curve model, the mentioned earlier, there is no standard model that explains anomaly completely. Each model assumes a particular behavior or witness the existing of some particular. Price leadership means the price leadership is the fourth model of oligopoly that ensure less price or that less conclusion. Price leadership is a kind of unawareness countries oligopoly under the price leadership. The leader in the sector determines the price of goods or service. This can leave leader rivals with little choice but to follow its leads and match this price if they are to hold on to their market share price relations often observer firms cost and firms. In this chapter, main points duopoly, oligopoly, confusion, mixtures curve, in demand curve, and market sharing level. Okay, stop. Today I will stop. Next period, unit 11, pricing under different structure pricing practices. Okay, thank you very much.